Hey folks, this is Chris at HouseIt, based in Miami, Florida. Today we're going to talk about an interesting topic that a lot of friends and clients of ours often ask. When do you use a mortgage broker versus a mortgage banker or bank in Florida or the Miami market? Well, it's quite interesting because if you just go with whichever bank, for example, that you have an account with, maybe a big national one, some of the big banks headquartered in New York, for example, you might find that they're a bit picky in terms of financing buildings here in Florida. Many of these large national lenders that are publicly traded oftentimes have underwriting criteria that are very much check the box type. So, for example, they often have trouble with buildings that have some sort of litigation in place. Now, if you know anything about Florida buildings or condo buildings in particular, they very often have some sort of litigation in place. And I'm referring to more specifically 558, Chapter 558 lawsuits that you'll often see in newer buildings, newer construction buildings. Even those that have been built in the recent past 4, 3, 4, 5 years ago, they'll often still have these lawsuits ongoing against the developer for quote-unquote construction defects. But if you look around deeply, you'll see that this is actually quite common. However, it can be very problematic for some of the more well-known bank names. So once that happens, you may have to depending on how many lawsuits or how serious the issues are, the nature of the defects being alleged, you may end up having to search much harder, either for yourself, or this is where a mortgage broker might come in handy. If for some reason all of the big banks have an issue with a particular building, then it might make sense to go with a mortgage broker who can scour all of these smaller, some more alternative or maybe hard money lenders who can give you a rate. Now, these non-conforming or hard money loans are obviously going to be a higher rate than you would expect from a big bank directly. So, for example, let's say, in the recent past when mortgage rates, 30-year mortgage rates were in the high twos or mid twos, like 2.625%, let's say, for example, you go with a non-traditional lender, a small community bank perhaps, who's more flexible, maybe they're underwriting on a portfolio basis, then you might see a rate that's closer to 4%, sometimes higher. But as you can see, that still is a pretty big difference. Now, with that said, definitely check with your buyer's agent and your listing agent, check with other agents who have sold properties in the building to see what they did for financing if it was a finance transaction. So for example, I'll give you a perfect recent example. So we have a client looking in the Paraiso complex, one Paraiso in particular, in Edgewater, Miami, a very hot neighborhood. This is a beautiful building, top of the line amenities, constructed in 2018, 2019, and it has predictably a Chapter 558 lawsuit ongoing against the developer for certain alleged construction defects. The first inclination of some of our clients is to, hey, I'll go to X name big bank or Chase or any other big bank and such and try to get it financed, but they end up having issues. The bank does not approve the building at all, or sometimes they have to go through many layers of approval to get the building cleared, so it really doesn't check the box. And then in that case, they're stuck. So they think either I have to purchase it all cash or get a high interest rate loan. Well, have hope, go through the steps we mentioned, speak with your buyer's agent. So if you were to ask us, we would say, hey, actually we've worked with different customers before, seen listings in the building where we know X and X bank has helped close on the building, and we can find that out for you, or work in conjunction with your mortgage banker to find out that information. So for example, we know that there were a couple of deals done in 2021 that were closed by Wells Fargo, and this is of course this is with them knowing about the litigation going on in the building against the developer, and they were fine with it. The best indication of that is they obviously closed 2 deals at intervals throughout this past year, so that's a good sign. So that's essentially it. I mean, in summary, big banks are often going to be able to give you a better rate They often have, huge balance sheets, of course. Sometimes they'll hold certain loans, jumbo loans, on a portfolio basis, but they generally have very, very competitive rates. So you can either go direct with a mortgage banker there, especially if you're doing a more conventional deal, or in the case that we just described, you find out that they have been able to finance in a building. If not, and you still really want to purchase in a building and you need financing, then it may be appropriate to shop around with a mortgage broker and see if they can find a smaller alternative, non-traditional lender to help you get the deal done. So anyway, we hope you found this video helpful. My name is Chris at HouseIt. We recently opened here in Miami, Florida. We cover Miami-Dade County, Broward County, St. Lucie, Palm Beach, and Martin counties now in Southeast Florida. We can help you save up to 6% when you sell with our assisted FSBO service, and 2% back or more, essentially 2/3 of the buyer agent commission to you when you purchase. And keep in mind, folks, the commissions payable to buyer agents in Miami and Southeast Florida in general can be quite high. For example, the Missoni Bahia building, which is fairly close by in Edgewater, offers 7% to buyer's agents. So you would get 2/3 of that back. Anyway, if you're interested in buying or selling in either New York or Florida, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. My name is Chris at HouseIt, and I'll see you on the next one.